Donald J. Rickles was born on May 8, 1926, in the bustling borough of Queens, New York City. His parents, Max and Etta Rickles, were immigrants of Austrian and Lithuanian descent, part of the wave of Jewish families seeking better lives in America. Growing up in the Jackson Heights neighborhood, Rickles was exposed to the cultural melting pot of New York, where his quick wit and sharp tongue began to take shape. His mother, Etta, was a strong-willed woman with a vibrant personality, a characteristic that Rickles would later credit as a significant influence on his comedic style. Even as a child, Rickles had a knack for humor. He was the class clown, always ready with a quip or a joke to make his classmates laugh. Yet, there was more to Rickles than just a funny kid. He was deeply curious about the world, always observing people, their habits, and their interactions. This keen sense of observation would later become the foundation of his comedic material. After high school, Rickles enlisted in the United States Navy during World War II, serving as a seaman first class aboard the motor torpedo boat tender USS Siren in the Pacific Theater. The experience of war, while sobering, didn't diminish Rickles' sense of humor. If anything, it sharpened it. The camaraderie among sailors, the need for levity in the face of danger, and the harsh realities of war all contributed to Rickles' development as a comedian. He learned how to use humor as a tool to diffuse tension and build bonds, skills that would serve him well in his future career. Upon returning from the war, Rickles set his sights on becoming a serious actor. He enrolled in the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York, where he hoped to hone his craft and break into the world of theater. However, the post-war entertainment industry was highly competitive, and Rickles found it difficult to land significant roles. For a time, he took on various odd jobs and small acting gigs, but success remained elusive. Frustrated but undeterred, Rickles began performing stand-up comedy in small clubs around New York City. At first, his act was relatively conventional, consisting of the standard jokes and routines typical of the time. But it wasn't until Rickles began to interact with his audience in a more confrontational manner that he discovered his true comedic voice. Tired of dealing with hecklers and unresponsive crowds, Rickles began to turn the tables, delivering sharp, improvised insults that left his audience in stitches. The more he insulted them, the more they laughed. Rickles had stumbled upon a new form of comedy, insult comedy, and it was unlike anything audiences had seen before. Rather than shying away from confrontation, Rickles embraced it, using his quick wit to playfully mock his audience. What set Rickles apart was his ability to make people laugh at themselves without making them feel bad. His insults, while biting, were delivered with a wink and a smile, making it clear that it was all in good fun. Rickles' career took a dramatic turn in 1957 when he performed at Murray Franklin's nightclub in Miami Beach. That night, the audience included none other than Frank Sinatra, the biggest star of the era and a man not known for his tolerance of disrespect. But Rickles, in his typical fashion, showed no fear. Spotting Sinatra in the crowd, he quipped, "Make yourself at home, Frank, hit somebody." The audience held its breath, but Sinatra burst into laughter. He loved Rickles' audacity and irreverence and became an instant fan. Sinatra's endorsement was a game-changer for Rickles. With Sinatra's support, Rickles gained access to a whole new level of fame. Sinatra started bringing his celebrity friends to Rickles' shows, and before long, Rickles was performing for the likes of Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., and other members of the Rat Pack. This connection to Hollywood's elite helped Rickles transition from small clubs to major venues, television appearances, and eventually, a film career. By the early 1960s, Rickles was a regular on television, making frequent appearances on shows like The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, The Ed Sullivan Show, and The Dean Martin Show. His segments on these shows were often the highlight of the evening, with Rickles delivering rapid-fire insults to the host, the guests, and even the audience. Yet, it was all done with such charm and wit that no one seemed to mind being the target of his barbs. Rickles' humor was often controversial, particularly by today's standards, but it was also groundbreaking. He didn't just make fun of people, he made fun of everyone, regardless of race, religion, or status. In doing so, Rickles broke down barriers and challenged societal norms. His comedy was a reflection of the changing times, a way to address the complexities of the human experience through humor. He was an equal opportunity offender, but also an equal opportunity entertainer. Everyone was in on the joke, and that was what made Rickles so beloved. One of Rickles' most famous appearances was on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, where he became a regular guest and a close friend of Carson's. Their on-screen chemistry was electric, with Carson often serving as the straight man to Rickles' unpredictable humor. Rickles would mock Carson's appearance, his mannerisms, and even his career, all while Carson struggled to keep a straight face. These interactions became legendary, solidifying Rickles' place in television history. Rickles also became a fixture at celebrity roasts, where his insults were the centerpiece of the evening. These roasts, which were often aired on television, featured Rickles delivering scathing yet affectionate jabs at some of the biggest names in entertainment. His ability to roast celebrities without alienating them was a testament to his skill as a comedian. No matter how harsh his jokes seemed, they were always delivered with a sense of love and respect. While Rickles was best known for his work in stand-up and television, he also enjoyed a successful film career. He appeared in a variety of films, showcasing his versatility as an actor. In the 1970 film Kelly's Heroes, Rickles played the role of Sergeant Crapgame, a supply sergeant with a knack for making money on the side. The film, which also starred Clint Eastwood and Telly Savalas, was a hit, and Rickles' performance was widely praised. Rickles continued to take on diverse roles throughout his career, including a memorable part in Martin Scorsese's Casino, 1995, where he played Billy Sherbert, the right-hand man to Robert De Niro's character. While the role was more serious than his usual comedic fare, Rickles brought his signature edge to the character, adding depth and complexity to the film. Perhaps Rickles' most beloved role, however, was that of Mr. Potato Head in the Toy Story franchise. Voicing the character in all three films, Rickles brought his trademark humor and warmth to the role, endearing him to a new generation of fans. The success of the Toy Story films introduced Rickles to younger audiences, ensuring that his legacy would continue to live on even after his passing. Don Rickles' public persona was that of a sharp-tongued comedian who spared no one from his biting wit. But those who knew him personally often spoke of a different side of Rickles, a kind, generous, and loyal man who valued his family and friendships above all else. His marriage to Barbara Sklar, whom he married in 1965, was one of the cornerstones of his life. The couple had 2 children, Mindy and Larry, and Rickles often referred to Barbara as the love of his life. Their marriage lasted over 50 years, a rarity in Hollywood, and Rickles frequently spoke of the joy his family brought him. Rickles was also known for his deep and lasting friendships, particularly with other entertainers. His close relationship with Frank Sinatra was well documented, but one of his most enduring friendships was with fellow comedian Bob Newhart. The two met in the 1960s and quickly became inseparable, despite their vastly different comedic styles. Newhart, known for his dry, understated humor, and Rickles, with his in-your-face approach, complemented each other perfectly. They often performed together, and their playful rivalry became a favorite among fans. As Rickles aged, he faced numerous health challenges that began to take a toll on his body, but not on his spirit. He was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, a condition that required careful management and frequent medical attention. Later in life, he also suffered from kidney failure, which necessitated dialysis treatments. Despite these health issues, Rickles continued to perform, driven by his passion for comedy and his desire to remain connected with his audience. Rickles often joked about his health problems and his routines, using humor as a way to cope with the challenges of aging. He would quip about his diabetes, his failing kidneys, and the various ailments that came with growing older, always finding a way to make light of his situation. This ability to laugh in the face of adversity was one of Rickles' most admirable traits and one that endeared him even more to his fans. In 2008, Rickles received a long-overdue recognition of his work when he won a Primetime Emmy Award for his performance in the HBO documentary Mr. Warmth, The Don Rickles Project. The documentary, directed by John Landis, was a tribute to Rickles' life and career, featuring interviews with friends, colleagues, and admirers. The film highlighted Rickles' impact on the world of comedy and his influence on future generations of comedians. On April 6, 2017, the world lost one of its greatest comedic talents when Don Rickles passed away at the age of 90. The cause of death was kidney failure, a condition he had been battling for some time. Rickles' passing marked the end of an era in comedy, as he was one of the last surviving members of a generation of comedians who came up during the golden age of television. The news of Rickles' death was met with an outpouring of grief from fans and fellow entertainers alike. Tributes poured in from across the globe, with many remembering Rickles not just for his humor, but for the man he was offstage. Comedians like Jimmy Kimmel, Jerry Seinfeld, and David Letterman spoke of Rickles as a mentor, a friend, and a trailblazer who paved the way for so many others in the industry. Rickles' funeral, held in Los Angeles, was a star-studded affair, attended by some of the biggest names in Hollywood. But despite the celebrity presence, the event was a deeply personal one, reflecting the love and respect that Rickles had earned over his long career. Friends and family shared stories of Rickles' kindness, his generosity, and his unwavering commitment to those he cared about. It was a fitting farewell to a man who had spent his life bringing joy and laughter to others.